Hello and welcome to U.Gov. U.Gov is all about you and the government, and on the show we talk about government functions and responsibilities as well as citizens' corresponding obligations to the state. I am Itohan Olomu-Agbodo. Stay with us.
LoveWorld Plus website is your number one trusted companion as we make sure we never leave you without a smile. Using a world-class design for an easier user experience across the world. We make sure that you get the freshest and latest news on our news platform. And on entertainment, we get you covered. Find out what's going on in the world of sports as we are there to give you numbers. And with our social affairs shows, we keep you in the know. Enjoy the Word of God each day, as one word from God will change your life forever. We also give you an opportunity to communicate with us through prayers and through your partnership. It's a whole new experience with the LoveWorld Plus website as we help you create your own atmosphere everywhere you go. LoveWorld Plus, taking you beyond television.
This week on Edibox, we will be taking a look at the concept of a state. A state is an organized political community acting under a government. States may be classified as sovereign if they are not dependent on or subject to any other power or state. A federated state is a territorial, constitutional community that forms part of a federation. Such states differ from sovereign states in that they have transferred a portion of their sovereign powers to a federal government. More ahead on U.Gov.
You're welcome back. This week we are visiting a prestigious institution of learning, and I'll be telling you where we are at. But first of all, let's go to the streets and find out what people on the street have to say about the meaning of a state, what relationship they have with the state, or what functions a state can perform.
State is a group of people that comes together to govern people, the max. They can be, as we have federal, state, and local government. So it is a middle organization that comes together as a body to govern the max.
You're welcome back, and we are at the University of Lagos, a prestigious institution of learning, and we are the office of a dignified professor, a doctor, the immediate past chairman of ASU, University of Lagos chapter. He is Dr. Odukoya. Dr. Odukoya, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you and welcome.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So, a state, you are a political scientist, so we want to know what the general definition of a state is and what are the functions. What is a state supposed to be? Is it an abstract concept or it's something that we can relate with?
Thank you very much. The way to understand a state is to actually understand society. Human beings came together because they are naturally social beings. And social beings, they relate. But resources within society are very limited. So you need an organizing body that could structure, that could allocate resources within a state such that whatever it does is authoritatively binding.
Okay.
So there are different aspects of society. You have the cultural aspect, you have the spiritual aspect, you have the social aspect. That part of society that deals with the political imperative of society is the state.
Okay.
So, in other words, the state is the political dimension, the political aspect of society. And there have been different dimensions to trying to understand the state. But all said and done, the state, it's a body that is charged with the responsibility of actually ensuring that there is security of life and property.
Okay.
Because like Thomas Hobbes would say, in a state of nature, the state of nature can be likened to a situation whereby there's no government, there's no regulation, everybody for its own. Yeah. So in the state of nature, life is nasty, brutish and short. So in other words, you have the state as a situation to bring to bear civilized living, orderly living within society. So that's why we say the state is the political arm of society. And part of the primary function of the state is to ensure that you have justice, you have order, and you have the protection of the welfare of the people.
You just talked about the state being a political arm, having
the political aspect, the political dimension of society.
So now, you've mentioned the fact that the state should protect lives and property of the people within the state,
guarantee their welfare,
and guarantee their welfare,
ensure justice and equity.
So, are there other functions that we can relate with regularly, like water supply? Is that part of welfare? Things like.
Yeah, when we talk about welfare of the people, we are talking about their existential condition.
Okay.
Anything that will contribute to the empowerment, to the advancement, to the good living, to the better life of human beings. Transportation, on infrastructure, water, power, and things like that. Even at the level of business, you say, even within the context or within a state where government don't even control resources or control or deal with production, the state is still expected to provide the enabling environment
for people,
for society, for business to thrive. So the state is actually basic to the survival of humanity, because it is with the creation of the state, it is with the coming of the state that man moves away from that state of nature where life is nasty, brutish, and short.
So that was Thomas Hobbes' definition of.
And that is why when people talk about good governance, it looks like a tautology within tautology.
Okay.
Because the state is an organ. The state is actually an institution of governance. And governance is by nature expectedly good. So if you don't witness governance the way it should be, that would be an aberration.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it means that if you don't witness government the way it should be in terms of good governance,
it
means
there's a problem at the level of the state.
There's no state in the first place.
No, the state is there, but the state is actually having problem.
Oh.
You might be having capacity problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and any other thing like that. You might be having elite conspiracy, and the people might equally not be challenging those who are in control of the apparatus of the state.
Okay, now you are using a lot of your political jargons.
That,
no, it's cool. That's why we are here, and you are the lecturer. So now, looking at Nigeria, is Nigeria a state? how do we describe Nigeria in the context that
Nigeria, you see, a state, okay, before we can equally, rather than jump into that question, let's equally say that beyond the functional definition of the state, a state can equally be seen in terms of its properties. A state must have a definite territory. A state must have a population. A state must have a government. A state must have sovereignty. And a state must have a constitution, whether written or unwritten. Maybe we can get to a written constitution is a constitution that is contained in one book. While a written constitution is not that it's not written.
It's not documented
it's
in
not,
one particular.
in a particular distance. Yeah. So when you have this, if you look at those properties, those parameters, then you have a state in Nigeria. But again, the question you might want to ask is that, is the Nigerian state like other states? Or the mere fact of those properties
having territory and all that, does that
make the states this thing? I would say no. A state must equally be understood in terms of its origin. There's what we call in political science organic state and inorganic states.
Okay, before you go into organic and inorganic, we want to take a quick break, and U.Gov will be right back. Stay with us. You're welcome back. This is still U.Gov, and we are still with Dr. Odukoya in the University of Lagos. Thank you so much, sir, for... And we are enjoying your political science jargons, and you are talking about organic and inorganic states. Yeah. So give us an insight into those concepts.
Okay. When we talk about organic states, we are alluding to a situation whereby it's like a woman gave birth to a child.
Okay.
So organic states are states whereby people consciously came together to say, we want to surrender part of our liberty in exchange for the protection of the states. So, in other words, those are states we call, in political science, social contract states.
Social contract states. Okay.
Where there's a contract between the people and the states. Different nationalities came together and say, we want to belong to this state. And at that level, we move from just the mere concept of a state to a nation state.
Nation state. I was going to ask about, okay, maybe before we go into that, let's just get the inorganic states, because we hear states, we hear nation, we hear nation states, nationhood.
So inorganic state, in order, by definition, by implication, is a state that is not a natural state.
Okay.
It's a state by imposition. It's the contrast of an organic state. Okay. By the very fact that it's a state that is not based on the conscious, deliberate attempt of the people to come together and say, we want to form this state. In other words, an inorganic state is a state from above, rather than from a state from below.
From below.
Organic state is a state from below. People came together and said, we want to form a supernatural power, body, institution that oversee our affairs, protect us. But on the other hand, the inorganic state, somebody somewhere, more often than not, an external force, an external power, a predatory power, an imperialistic power,
like the colonialists,
impose a state structure on a people, but put them together against their own wish, And in order for them to fulfill not the interest or development of those people, but their own imperialistic interest. It was for that reason that Awolowo said Nigeria was a mere geographical expression. And Tafawa Balewa said Nigeria is a mistake of 1914 because Nigeria is an inorganic state.
Because of the amalgamation of 1914.
Yes, nowhere did Nigerians, your grandfather, my grandfather, or great-grandfather, nowhere did they come together to say, we want to be Nigerians. The Nigerian state was an imposed state, and it has its own implication, and it's part of the problem still deadening us.
Okay, so implications.
Okay, for example, you see people up to tomorrow talking about Biafra, people talking about Dudua, people talking about Arewa, the minority are talking, people are talking about restructuring, people are talking about this thing. It is because people still don't bond, they don't see themselves as Nigerians. And again, the state that was imposed in 1914 was a state meant to oppress the people, meant to exploit the people, meant to disempower the people, and meant to destabilize the people. At independence in 1960, unfortunately, that state was not transformed. It was merely inherited. So let me illustrate what I'm talking. You have a machine that produces biscuits.
Okay.
You understand? So the machine was created in 1914 to produce biscuits. It was being operated by John Stone, a white man. In 1960, that same machinery was taken over by
another person, Mark Gabriel.
Yes. Or Adelaja, or Aruno.
Or Odukoya.
You understand?
Yes.
What is important is that machine is still being producing, is still structured to produce the same
thing. Because it's still the same machine.
The state in Nigeria that was created in 1914 was to oppress the people, was to underdevelop the people. At independence, that state was not, as we speak, that state has not been transformed.
It was inherited and
it was inherited.
Yes.
So it is an instrument of oppression. It is an instrument of exploitation. It is an instrument of injustice. And that state still acts that way as we speak. So when you see the desperation for political power and things like that, and the way people use political power, it is because that state is a means of production.
Okay.
People, just like the colonialists, people use the Nigerian state as an extractive machine to take from the people rather than to give the people. The state is never meant to protect the people, but to brutalize them. And that is what we are still having.
So in essence, based on the initial definition you gave us, is there a state in Nigeria?
There's a state. But is there, the question you will ask is that, is there a state that ministers to the need of the Nigerian people?
Is there a functional state?
No, functionality depends on who is saying. You see, functionality, something can be functional and be negative.
Okay. Okay, what about nationhood? Have we achieved nationhood?
We cannot. We have not. Especially because people have not. The Nigerian project is still a working question mark.
Okay.
You see, when we talk about achieving nationhood, that is at the level of, how do we call it? Nation states. A nation state is, you see, the Igbos, for instance, they are a nation.
Yes.
Yoruba are nations.
Because of their
Fulani
common ideology and
commonality, the same historical background, the same culture and things like that, religious, and a lot of other things like that. But you see, when you talk about nation state, you have a pervasive feeling of consciousness of oneness. You will have, what I'm saying is that, yes, it's just like what we call unity in diversity.
Yeah.
The diversity will have been underplayed. The unity, the oneness, will have seen ourselves as one. We will have melted together such that we have forgotten those differences. But you see, because of the very nature of the Nigerian state, and because those who control the Nigerian state don't control the Nigerian economy, that's another sad thing. And those who control the Nigerian economy are outside the border of this country. And for those who control political power, to be able to get economic power, they use political power to their own advantage. Consequently, they have what we call patron-client relationship. They try to recruit people to be their own disciples. And the primary way to do that recruitment is through their ethnicity, is through their religion. So that is why I keep on saying, people, instead of now talking about the Nigerian project, saying Nigeria, they are talking about my ethnicity, the Yoruba, the Hausa, and things like that. Nigeria is not in the equation. because the way they confront the state is as an oppressor. And they see those elites from their own ethnicity, their ethnic enclaves, their religious enclaves, as their saviors. So when they are in power, they think they are there for them, even though they are not. So Nigeria is actually does not have citizens, so to say, when the chips are down.
Because we hear I'm from this part of the country, I'm from that part. We generally don't hear people saying I'm a Nigerian. We first of all say I'm a Yoruba man.
Fine.
I'm an Igbo man.
Because people have not keyed into the Nigerian project. And that is the sad thing. Our leaders know this, and they rather believe, they rather want to pretend. You see, each time we want to talk about the national question, we talk about restructuring, we talk about even constitutional this thing. One thing that has been a common decimal is for them to say the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable.
Thank you.
That issue tells you that the unity of Nigeria is in contention. There is no unity. So that's why I describe the Nigerian state as what I call a theologian state. A state based on theology. A state based on faith. It's fourth race. There's no unity anywhere. And the earlier we start addressing that problem, the better. And let me stress this. For all the units in this country, the Nigerian project is very important.
Okay.
The population, the resources, the strength of this country lies in its size. And when people talk about Dua Republic, they talk about Arewa Republic, they talk about Biafra, I ask them, what would it change? In Yoruba land, we are having problem in our states. See Lagos State, see Ogun State. In the East, they are having problem in their states. So what gave you the feeling that if you partition this country,
to be better off?
It will be better off. Is it better off at the micro level of the state or local government?
No.
So that is not the issue. So, and unfortunately, those who benefit from this nonsense are the elites, and the ordinary people who are in the majority are allowing them to this thing. They are using them as tools for manipulation. And they keep on asking for ethnic justice, because when people talk about restructuring, when they talk about rotation of power, what they are asking for is ethnic justice. That's what I call justice with a tribal mark. Justice for Yoruba. I would say no. You talk about social justice. So justice for everybody.
You know, this area is one of the major areas that you are passionate about.
Yes.
And we have to go at some point. So, what is your advice?
You see, quite a number of things happen in this country, and they are very worrisome. And a lot of things have played themselves out in the unfolding scenario for this election. And people overtly are orchestrating crisis. And I want to say it is in nobody's interest. I think as a nation, as a people, our strength is in our unity. Our strength is in our population. Our strength is in the way we are presently constituted. Okay. There's no perfect nation. And there are no perfect governors. Like Alexander Pope said, about forms of government, let who contend. What is best administered is the best. Yeah, we must agree that things are not going right. But the only way for things to go right is for us to get involved. The only way to get things on working is for us to even do our own individual things at our own level. Within the present structure of the Nigerian state, there's no doubt that there's imbalance, there's quite a lot of injustice, but I think the people for too long have stayed outside of power. They have allowed the elites to manipulate them, to manipulate the system to their advantage. What we have in Nigeria today is not a democracy, it's a plutocracy. And until the time that the people take a central place. For instance now, we have about 90-something political parties contesting election. Why is it that the ordinary Nigerian is insisting that we only have two major political parties? Why are we not ready to? Why are we fixated? Why are we not ready to actually try other options? And of course, we're only recycling old and expired members of the ruling class, decadent ruling class, that are the problems of this country. Okay. So Nigerians should take their destiny into their hands. They should be ready to take part in government and control government machinery, and hold those who are elected accountable. And this accountability is not a matter of 4 years. It must be an every time, every day, and present continuous.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very interesting discussion, and you were just the right person to talk about this topic. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Wish you all the best.
Okay. So we have some more tidbits for you on the show. Stay with us. It was indeed a very exciting episode we had. We were talking with an associate professor in the Department of Political Science in the University of Lagos, Lagos Southwest, Nigeria, Dr. Odukoya, and he shed light on the concept of the state and also advised Nigerians to focus on their diversity and unite, come together, and don't just let everything slide. Take the nation to the next level. Let us work together as Nigerians, as a nation, not as ethnic groups. And if you have comments for us, we'd like you to log on to our website on www.loverplus.org and send messages to the numbers that will be showing on your screen now. I am Olomu-Agbodo, and I say bye for now.